Hey everybody, got Vicky the fan here, ready to do some brake work. And I had a question that I used to wonder about before I actually worked in a shop as a professional mechanic during the pandemic. Do you have to replace your rotors? Do you have to turn your rotors when you do brake pads? That's the question. All right, old Vicky the van here was making some squealy noises, so I wanted to show you this. So this brake pad, I mean, it's down there. It's probably 25%. The one on the inside is even, it's like way down there. Look at that. But this is not scarred. All right. Now, what do I mean by scarred? I can pull my finger across it without, right? It doesn't feel like a scratched up record, right? Or even a record. All right. It just feels smooth and good, and you can see, you could mic this to see. But what's the minimum thickness, Russ? I'm getting to that. All right, here's a little video that I found that helps explain all that.
Looking to cut your rotors or worried they've worn too far? You can find the minimum operational thickness engraved on the side of the rotor, within the vanes of the rotor, or on the head of the rotor. To accurately measure against the minimum thickness, use a micrometer at several points on the surface of the rotor where it meets the pads. If your rotor needs to be cut past the minimum thickness or is worn past it, then you'll need new rotors.
When I worked at the shop, we did fleet work and we did a lot of big trucks, you know, like Amazon trucks, FedEx, the post office, that kind of thing, like trucks. And we pad slapped those, but we always had to micrometer them. For me, on the van, right, I drove this van 430,000 miles, and I did a lot of pad slaps on it, all right? Now, did I mic it ever? No. I just kind of looked at it and thought, all right, that's pretty thick. That's thick enough. I think I'll be fine. Again, when you feel this in your, if you feel this in the, right, start to shake, your wheels shake when you hit the brakes, your rotors are warped and you need new rotors. So that's one way to tell. But I've never personally mic'd my brake rotors for doing a Dodge Caravan. And that's what happens if you do too many, you know, pad slaps. And yes, at the shop, it's called a pad slap. You just change the pads because you got good thickness of the rotors and it's nice and smooth. Just throw new pads on there. It's fine, right? But there are, again, specifications for how thick the rotor is. But for me and for DIY stuff, you know, this is sort of your discretion. You don't want to, I mean, obviously, if you're getting really thin in here, yeah, you're going to want to change your rotors because there's a lot of heat that's going to build up and that can burn up your caliper as well. So, and that's expensive. But yeah, this is great. This looks fine. And I can go ahead and pad slap old Vicky here with some new pads. And it's the next day. Actually, last night we had to drive to a neighboring town to get these. I should have ordered them earlier. These are ceramic brake pads. I always buy ceramic brake pads because they last longer. Yes, they're more expensive. These were about 50 bucks. But I don't like doing brakes a lot, you know? Why do brakes more than you should, right? If you buy cheap pads, you're gonna wear them out faster. Ceramics are better. Comes with, this one came with hardware and brake lubricant, so I'll get this done. It's just a good idea for the air to have somewhere to go when you're closing the brake caliper, because you don't want, you know, air going back down. So yes, in prior videos, I used to get out a C-clamp and just struggle with that forever. This is a much better tool right here. It's a ratchet. That's all you do. So much easier than struggling with some C-clamp. And these aren't expensive either. I mean, you buy them on a tool truck, they're like $700. But if you buy them on Amazon, and that's where I bought this. I bought this on Amazon. It wasn't super expensive. It gets the job done. And this is, then the other way so you can... Added the hardware on the ends there. This guy goes inside. Brake caliper like that. And this one on the outside. This. Okay. Yep. Helps if you have it tight. And that's all you do. So much easier than struggling with some C-clamp. And these aren't expensive either. I mean, you buy them on a tool truck, they're like $700. But if you buy them on Amazon, and that's where I bought this on Amazon, it wasn't super expensive. It gets the job done. And this is not that complicated right here. You know what I'm saying? Open it all the way up. Brand new brake pads. Then try it the other way so you can pull it out. Some stuff on each side. So yeah, it's not allowing me to close it. Try and shove it up in there. Still blocking. So those got to come out. That was a nice idea, but not great on the execution. So we're gonna loop up this part here. All right, so getting these to line up, I had to take the hardware off because, yeah, 10, 20, 15, doesn't matter. It's all causing like it's not a room in here for this thing to slide around. So we want this to back up to that. Here's another tip for you. Running a lug nut on here, that'll help hold this thing in place. It's easier to line up those holes. You can see on both sides of this, they give you a lot of room to kind of wiggle that bolt around to line up with the other hole here, so easy peasy. So torquing these down, and I couldn't find a lot of information. On the 2001 Plus, it is 26 foot-pounds, which, to be honest, I don't think that's really enough. Those kind of caliper brackets that they have mounting over here, right? So the caliper is mounted on, these are guide pins. With this application, the guide pins are actually holding this caliper on, right? So it's a little different. I mean, it's a gravy brake job, but these pins are holding the whole apparatus on here. So, you know, you get a feel for this kind of thing over time. You don't want to tighten these too much, but you also don't want to not tighten them enough, right? So that's the big question. As long as they're on good and tight, where you can't break them loose real easy, you know. So I've put I put some English on these to where they feel good and tight. I don't know the torque spec, and it's hard to find that information without paying a bunch of money. So I'm trusting the sense of feel. So yeah, you can't crack that puppy loose real easy. You're probably good. You know, this is YouTube advice. Take it for what it is. I've done this a lot of times. Never used a torque wrench. You'll be fine. But when you do this enough, and you've done it over and over again. When I worked at Ford, every car that came in as a trade-in, used cars they brought in, they all, if they were under 50%, they got new brakes. So did a lot of brakes. Gonna time myself and see how long it takes me to do this side. These are gravy. I love these brakes. I would have made so much money on my flat rate on these brakes. our fluid level look? Looks fine. And there we are. Hey, if you stuck around this long, you might as well hit the like button. And subscribe if you're new. Hang out. Stick around. See you on the next one.